my driveway, my dog. Ellie! Ellie Mae! How you doing, girl? You're sleeping in the driveway, baby. Smile again. Okay, I'm Harvey Hubble. This is Harvey Hubble's Show and Tell, and today I'm here with Molly. Who are you and what do you do?
So I'm Molly from Saving Grace in North Carolina, and I have the shelter called Saving Grace, and I work with counties all across the state to bring dogs who don't usually have a chance for adoption to Saving Grace and adopt them out.
You have connected, most years you average about 3,000 dogs a year?
Do. We've done probably close to 60,000 now. I've been doing it about 20 years, so over the years, it took a few years to get going and started, and now we try to do about 3,000 a year.
That's crazy. And this is really a show and tell because Molly brought me a dog because I wanted a dog because I had a dog and now I have another dog. And this is Jethro, who is sitting at our feet. And you drove up from North Carolina. You don't normally drive every dog.
No.
Not.
I had a special request.
Right. Right. So Molly and I know each other. How long? When did we meet? We talked about it last night. About what year do we think we met?
Probably like 8 years ago.
Okay. 8 years ago.
2017 maybe?
Right. And you came up, you brought
9 years ago.
You brought some dogs?
I did.
To Connecticut. Well, we have a mutual friend. So we met through Jason Allison, who connected us. So how did he connect you? Why did you come to Connecticut 8 years ago?
So I work with him. He was overseeing a shelter that I work with. And we were just talking about doing some adoptions in the Northeast because there's not the demand. Well, there is the demand here for adoption, but there's not the overpopulation we have in North Carolina. So North Carolina is third in the United States for euthanasia. So we have a very high euthanasia rate there for dogs. And we were just talking about, we could maybe bring some of these dogs to the Northeast where there aren't as many in shelters and people are wanting to adopt to try to move some of the dogs out of North Carolina. And so Jason had said he knew you, and we connected, and I came up and stayed and came back a few times, and we did some adoption events and adopted some dogs out.
Cool. So, I mean, this isn't like a normal thing. We talk about you're an interesting person and you're doing an interesting thing. So how did you get into adopting dogs out and connecting? You're kind of like the love connection between people and their dogs.
Right. Yeah, so I was working for animal control at a shelter in Raleigh where animal control brought the dogs in just out of college. I was like, what do I want to do? I'd been fostering some, was getting into animal welfare, and said, I'm going to go work at the local shelter and just learn about this. And so I was there about 2 years, and that was in 2001. So, the internet was just coming really about then, and nobody really knew what great dogs we had, and we were just basically filling a dumpster on a regular basis with really great dogs. But the adoption process wasn't really adopter friendly. We had a lot of dogs coming in. They didn't stay very long. We didn't have a lot of information about them. It was all just like chain link and concrete. And it was like, go back and find a dog. If you like it, let us know. But there was no sort of matching them or helping them get to know each dog or knowing the qualities about each dog. So I spent a few years learning dog behavior, specifically how a dog in a shelter presents and kind of how that behavior would transition into a home. And, a lot of times we don't have a lot of information about them. Usually they've been outdoors their whole life. They're typically from pretty rural areas. And so just wanted to figure out, okay, how do I best learn the dog and match that with a person, just to kind of improve the adoption experience so more people would want to come adopt, and then also make a long-term successful situation for the dog.
You're kind of like a dog whisperer.
Maybe a shelter dog whisperer, yes.
Shelter dog whisperer. No, but I've noticed, so I mean, I saw the dog we called Jethro, and he looked like our dog we called Ellie Mae. So that's like as deep as I get. But the dog is a little nervous. We met him yesterday with a big camera crew and everything all around him. But look at him now. First he was nervous being in here, and then you said, get a dog bed.
Yeah.
Right?
Comfortable.
Comfortable. So tell me, how do you know, like, how do you match dogs? So it's no more chain link fence and cement. You guys have...
So we are on a farm, my family farm for several generations. And I just started really small. So I started going to shelters. I focus on the shelters that have the lowest adoption rate. So the highest number of dogs coming in and the fewest people, in some of these communities. So I wanted to go where nobody else goes, just because those dogs really have no chance. So I go out and I spend a little time at the shelters with the dog. At our farm, they aren't all caged. Everybody has a crate. They do learn crate training, which is really helpful for them to transition from us into a home, because they've been somewhere, who knows where. A lot of times it's just rural, they've been outdoors. Then they're at animal control. Then they're with us. So their adoption is the fourth place they've usually been within a month. So it's a lot for a dog. And so a crate is kind of their space. And once they get adopted, we encourage adopters to use the crate for a little bit, just so that they learn the boundaries of the home, the new potty spots. So they're more comfortable with that kind of as their space. And then, wean them off the crate and they can be loose in the house. And that tends to set them up better for, some people want them on the furniture, some people don't. But it's easier to just go in learning good habits than learning all the bad ones and having to start over and retrain. So yeah.
Well, last night we just brought him in, put him in a crate, and he slept through the night.
He did. He's tired too. He's had a busy travel week. So, yeah.
So you got a family farm. You started kind of going out on your own, doing it. You started small.
I started small. I started going to the shelters. Some people would say, I want this type of dog. And I would go to a shelter and look for that dog for them. I might not find the dog they specifically wanted, but I might find 5 others that are super nice dogs, bring them back. And so word just kind of spread that I had, really nice dogs. And you could come to Saving Grace, come to my place and meet with them, spend a little time with them in more of a natural environment than a shelter. So it's kind of, we still are a shelter, but it's a little different than your usual shelter, traditional shelter. So they're in, crates, and then they go out in play groups, and they're rotated out throughout the day, and they can roam around. And so people can meet with them and interact and just see them comfortable in kind of more of a natural environment and adopt that way. So word just kind of spread that you can go, meet these dogs, and you adopt a dog. And when that dog gets adopted, one comes from another shelter that wouldn't have a chance. So you can still adopt and save a dog, get a little bit more information. They're vetted, spayed and neutered. The vets have, gone through and done an assessment. And so you get a lot more information. So people were more willing to adopt, having more information and a good place to visit with the dog and know a little bit more about them.
So I haven't seen you in a couple of years, and it's good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
But when I look at your Facebook site, I mean, you're taking dogs on walks on Saturday. You got the community. You got community involvement. Talk to me. I mean, you are a nonprofit entrepreneur. I mean, just tell some of these crazy things that you do.
So over the years, it has evolved into quite the operation. We have about 400 volunteers. We have about 200 foster homes. Yes, it's really an incredible community. And when I say it takes a village, it absolutely takes a village. So my first interaction is at a shelter choosing that dog, and it takes a lot of people and a lot of teams to get them all the way through, transporting them back, doing intake, all the medical work. We're usually starting with zero. Probably 99% of our dogs have never had a vet visit whatsoever. So we are starting with, just the basics of parasite treatment and prevention, and they're spayed and neutered. We do get a lot of heartworm positive dogs, and we treat those so that when they adopt, when an adopter comes in, they don't have that expense, which would deter a lot from adopting. So I like to say, if there's a really nice dog in a shelter, I want to take that dog. I don't want to say, well, is it heartworm positive? Does it need additional medical care? If it's a really great dog, I want to be able to say, we're going to take that dog and we're going to be able to provide care for it. So as a nonprofit, sometimes that's tough because it depends on the resources we have and the amount of funding we have, but I try to work it out and find a sponsor for that
I got
dog.
to jump in there because you talked about that before.
I'm going all over the place.
No, it's okay. I probably might have ADD.
Yeah, join the crowd.
So I think, what is a great dog? You go and you do play dates with dogs, or how do you do it? How do you pick a dog? How do you say what's a great dog?
So if I go into a shelter, and there's an average of 100 dogs in each shelter I go to at animal control. So some are small, some might have 20 dogs, some might have 150 dogs. So I just go through, and of course I can't take everyone. So I try to take the dogs most likely to be successful in our program. So that means they've got to be friendly to people. Most of these dogs are going to a neighborhood. They're going to a community where they're going to be part of a family. So, they need to get along with people and be safe around other people and dogs. So I go in and I just identify what I think are going to be dogs that would fit that. And then I take them out in like a play group and make sure they're going to be okay with other dogs. You don't have to love other dogs, but you do have to be safe around other dogs, because at Saving Grace we're group housed. We don't really have a way to keep one dog separate from everybody else. And those dogs, they absolutely deserve a home too. But in North Carolina, we're still dealing with how do we place the most, because we have so many that I still leave behind. I want to be able to move that dog through our program so that another dog can come along and get a chance too. And so a dog who gets along with others is more likely to get adopted quicker. So I take them out and see who's going to be a good fit. And, sometimes I leave the shelter with 5 dogs, and sometimes I leave with 30 dogs. And I always am grateful for the other people on the other end when I arrive, because it can be quite a experience when I arrive back at Saving Grace.
How do you move 30 dogs?
In a big van in crates.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Why does North Carolina have so many dogs?
Well, we don't have spay-neuter laws. So in the Northeast, I think you guys have a spay-neuter law where if the dog is not spayed and neutered, you have to register, right? You have to register your dogs, and they keep up with who's not spayed and neutered. And there's also resources to have them spayed and neutered. A lot of people ask me, well, shouldn't we have spay-neuter laws? We should absolutely have spay-neuter laws, but we also have to be able to provide that access to people. So some of these people that are in rural communities, they have really limited transportation, and a spay-neuter clinic may very well be 1 to 2 hours from them. And it's very hard to get in because there's such a demand there. So it's not really accessible. So even if we have spay-neuter laws, we still have to have the resources for people to have it done. Because I see a lot of people who really love their pets. It's not that they don't love them and they just let them run loose and multiply. There is a little bit of that mentality, but there's also a lot of people that just can't afford it, and even at a low cost spay neuter clinic, you're looking at $200 to $300 per animal for your spay neuter by the time you get your vaccines, your pain control, and your after surgery care. And that is still a lot for some people, for people who are on low income or getting assistance, have kids. $200 or $300 might not be an option for them. So there definitely is a long ways to go on spaying and neutering and making it accessible, affordable and accessible. Because it also costs us as a state to bring these animals in and care for them. The manpower is significant. It takes to pick up the strays, bring them in, impound them, house them. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you do so much on so many different levels. We were beginning to talk, and I probably took us off in a different tangent. These walks you do, and
the different programs.
Yeah, to talk about the different programs you do.
So I like to say
these are well-rounded dogs.
They are after they've been with us a little bit, for sure. So, I like to say a dog out of a kennel is a happier dog, and it's more likely to get adopted. So we want our dogs out in front of our community so they can see what great dogs we have, what great dogs are in shelters. A lot of people think, oh, shelter dogs, have a behavior issue. A lot of times it's just that, again, they've come from a situation where it wasn't the resources. They're a product of under-resourced areas. So it's not necessarily behavior. There are some challenging dogs that come into shelters. But a lot of times it is just dogs who have come from an area where they didn't have spay-neuter laws and they're a product of overpopulation. But so to come to us, you have to be able to go on the hikes. We have a hiking program every weekend. Saturday, we have a fabulous hiking team that coordinates this, and we also do it for corporate work days. So for different businesses in our community that want to do like a team building day, they can make a donation and they can come out and do a dog hike. So it gives our community a chance to come out and interact with our dogs without being a fully trained volunteer. You don't have to go through that whole program. So you can come out. We do a 3 or 4 mile hike around Falls Lake, which it's a beautiful scenic hike. So it's great exercise for people. It gets the dogs out. They absolutely love it. They learn to walk on a leash, be part of a dog walking pack. And it also, again, gives people a chance to come in, learn about us, just a different avenue for people to sign up, come learn about us.
So how many people go walking with you on a Saturday?
We have about 40. We do about 40 spots for dogs. And then our volunteers, we have about 15 volunteers on site. So a couple volunteers per group that goes, gets them all registered.
Do you ever see any cats? I mean, you're walking with 40 dogs. That just seems
No,
like
we're in the woods. We're in the woods.
How about squirrels?
There's a lot of squirrels.
A lot of squirrels. So
you better hope you get a dog that's not a high prey drive, but sometimes we manage.
And that's life. So you're
life.
Walking with 40 dogs, people, volunteers, kind of like a cattle herd.
Well, we go in small groups, so we try to break it up a little bit. So
nice.
Go in several groups. But they get out and they get exercise. A lot of keeping a dog in a shelter mentally sound is getting enough one-on-one time with people and getting enough exercise, because that's always a challenge for any shelter. Anytime you have a lot of animals, they don't usually get enough one-on-one time, which is really important for these dogs to be able to get people time, because that's what they really want. They want to be part of a family. So until they get to be part of a family, we try to give them the basics they need. And we also have a wonderful sleepover program, and that's every weekend. So you sign up, you tell us a little bit about your situation. So do you have cats? Do you have kids? Do you want to have an active dog that's going to hike all weekend? Or do you want a couch potato that's going to sit on the couch all weekend? So we match you up with a good candidate, a good match. And you pick them up on Friday night, bring them back Sunday night. And we ask for a little write-up about the weekend, pictures, so we can add all of that to their profile online. Because
kind of like divorced parent stuff.
Or Match.com.
Or Match.com, that's right.
We try to say the website's like Match.com, and then we like to enhance their profile as much as we can. So, back to working with shelters that have concrete and chain link, I wanted to get those dogs, give them a personality or show their personality and show what they're like in a home. So from the very get-go, it was important to me to have a good picture and to have a good write-up about them. So not just make them an impound number and a dog behind chain link, but we want to be a dog that you can see in your family. And so getting them out, they go to a lot of breweries. So we go to breweries. We have a lot of breweries.
There's a program like Take Your Dog to a Brewery?
We don't care where they go, but a lot of people do go to breweries, we have found on the weekend. Breweries and soccer games. And so, we ask for those pictures of them doing these outings and add all of that to their profile. And they meet a lot of people, out and about, which again, it's a good representation of not just Saving Grace, but shelter dogs in general.
The name, where's the name come from?
I've just made it up. There's no good story behind it. Saving Grace, there's not a great story behind it.
Because I always thought for years,
grace.
I thought there was grace.
There's no grace.
Dude,
it takes a lot of grace to run this thing for sure, that I can do it, that I was able to do it, and continue to do it. And I need a lot of grace every day. So.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, no Saving Grace. I thought Grace was your first dog.
No.
No?
But we definitely get a lot of dogs that are adopted that are either named Molly or Grace. So
Molly or
run
Grace.
into people all the time and they're like, oh yeah, I adopted and our dog is Grace or Molly. It's like, okay.
Well,
those are good names.
Yeah, it's not bad names.
No.
And you do a TV show?
I do a feature every week, a feature adoption journey segment. So in our local news show, I take a different dog every week and talk about that dog a little bit, and then also about all the programs we have and how to get involved or support us.
So it's not just saving a dog or connecting a dog, it's a community event.
It is community events. We try to get out to a lot of events, again, get our dogs off-site, out into our community, let people know what great dogs we have and also how they can get involved with us.
So I like your brain because you come up with these crazy harebrained things. You're on TV, you're walking dogs, you're sending them to breweries.
Right. We want to be out. We want to, be out and advertise what good dogs we have.
But I love the North Carolina blizzard story.
So we do we do a good amount of hurricanes in North Carolina. Hurricanes as much as the snow, but in natural disaster we try to move our population off site just so if our volunteers can't get in to care for everybody, because in North Carolina we are not prepared as you are for snow. So when we get snow and ice, nobody goes anywhere for a few days. So being able to get people in is really challenging. So this year we put a cry out to our community, let them know our need, that we would like to move the dogs off site because we were expecting a big snowstorm. And we moved every dog out. And that was a really good opportunity for kind of a different group of people to see us and see our need. A lot of people shared it with other people, and we got all of our dogs out. So they got a bonus sleepover.
How many is all your dogs? How many did you place for that?
I think we did about 80 that weekend.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. And you just kind of...
And that takes a whole village in itself, because each dog has to be matched with a good home for it. Do we get along with cats, kids? Making sure our foster parents have a crate, have food. Some people have never had a dog before, and so we have to help them have all the supplies and also some basic education on how to handle this dog, because it's going to be a totally new environment for the dog. So there's a little education that goes into that. And our dogs, sometimes they haven't been in a home before. So we work with them on that. But to be able to account for every dog, where it went, make sure if it's on medication, it went with its medication, having somebody on call to answer all the questions and just coordinate. Just the pickup of 80 dogs is a circus in itself. And that team is incredible with their organization and just their passion to make it happen for the dogs.
Yeah, 80 dogs, matching them. That's and
Matching them, making sure they all come back and nobody gets lost and everybody leaves with the supplies and medication they need. Yeah.
that's like the first day of school on the school bus.
And if somebody doesn't show back up, we got to find that dog. But that rarely happens. I think we've had it happen 2 times in like 10 years.
You check the brewery, you check the soccer stadium.
Oh, well, we didn't lose the dog. We lost the person that had the dog. They just forgot to bring it back. But I think both times they ended up adopting it. I think they probably just were hesitant to bring them back and wanted a few extra days to think about it.
Nice.
So, which is fine. You're welcome to adopt the dog. We just got to know where it is.
Perfect. Okay, what does anybody need to know when they're going to adopt a dog from you? What do they need to know? How much it costs? What how long the process is? You like people coming and visiting?
So we have an adoption fee, which is $3.95, and that includes the spay neuter, all the vaccines. A lot of dogs might need more than just your basic spay neuter and vaccines, and we do the deworming. They get a microchip. All of that's registered for you, and just a variety of other medical needs. Just it really depends on each dog, but we ask people to come out and visit the dogs, because we do have a really good website. We try to get all those profiles up there and updated, but there's nothing like coming out and meeting the dogs. And a lot of times people might gravitate to kind of a look they're looking for, but then when they come out, just bonding with a different dog and connecting can really happen with dogs you didn't think you would choose. So I always encourage people to come out, take their time. This is a dog that's hopefully going to live to be 12 to 15 years old. So you want to take your time finding a good match. You don't want to just say, I'll take that one. So it's really, really worth the time. And a lot of people do our sleepover program multiple times just to see if there's a dog they like and if they like having a dog. That's always a good place to start too. But definitely anywhere you're going, whether it's to Saving Grace or any shelter, take the time to go and really invest in finding a dog you really love and you think is going to be a good connection, because it's tough when it doesn't work out. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's okay. We, think it's worth a try, worth getting the dog out. And, people who might be allergic or have cats or kids that it's not a great match for, it's always worth a try. And if it doesn't work out, we can try someone different.
What am I missing? What haven't I asked you that we should talk about?
Well, I would say people who want to support Saving Grace or any of our shelters who might not be in a position to adopt or already have enough dogs and pets. We rely solely on donations. We get no sort of government or state funding, so it's all donations. And most shelters are that way, especially private shelters. So I encourage everybody to always reach out to their shelter on how they can support their shelter. We all have different needs at different times, whether it's food, medical care is always our biggest need. So we can only take dogs that we can provide the care they need for. So funding is always a big deal. So for people who want to support it in that way, they can, or people who want to volunteer, the volunteer program, that could be a whole show in itself, but our volunteer program is amazing. And when I first started out, I really, kind of approached it from, we need help with the dogs, and you will get so much back from caring for these dogs. But it turned into a whole lot more than what I really expected it would be, as far as people finding a purpose and finding something to do every week to make a difference for the dogs, but also really great human connections. Some of our volunteers have been with us 10 and 15 years, and they're a close family themselves. So getting out and volunteering gives a lot back to the animals and also the people that you work with.
Tell me, what is a typical volunteer? Or what do they have? What do they share? A volunteer, what do they share?
Well, they share their love for dogs, and we have just a huge variety of people, and such a diverse population on politics or what you do for a job or whatever you're going through on a personal level. Like, it just doesn't matter, because you're connected for your love of dogs, and we have just such a rainbow of people, which makes it really fun. to work with. I think it does, because I've made so many great relationships from people that I probably would not have met or interacted on a daily, in my daily routine. But you just get to know so many different people in different walks of life, all united by their love for dogs.
Why do people love dogs? Why do we want dogs in the house? I mean, it was fine when we were cavemen. We were sitting by the fire. I got it. But now we have to train them to get in a car.
I think it's a lot of companionship, and when I first started out, I was really kind of had this mission of, why do we put so many dogs in a landfill? They're really nice companions, and they need adopted. And we have a lot of, backyard breeders in North Carolina. So it's easy to go and buy a dog. So my kind of, from my perspective was, let's get these dogs out and get these dogs a home too. But over the years, I saw how much they meant to the people. I get a lot of letters back, or people who message me and say, my husband died a month before I came and adopted my dog, and this dog got me out of the house. It gave me something to wake up for, take it out, some accountability, some companionship, just another being in your life, in your house. So, there is a lot of companionship on a level that people don't know they need until they get a dog.
Gentlemen, what dog questions or Molly questions do you have?
I just want to know, if people
But
are looking...
look at me when, I'm smart enough that I figured out what he is asking you.
Okay.
But he's not here, but pretend it's me that's asking you this question. Okay, ask her, make me look really smart.
I just want to know how people find you. If people want to make a donation or something, how do people do that?
So we have a website, savinggracenc.org. So all the information is there. Whether you want to adopt or donate or sign up for a hike or sign up for a weekend sleepover or just read more about us, savinggracenc.org. And our social media is Saving Grace NC on Facebook and Instagram.
Jordan, don't you want a dog to sleep over at your house with you? Oh, you want a corgi? He wants
a corgi.
He wants a corgi. He's going to keep an eye out for a corgi, and the universe will work. What do you got, Jordan? Any questions for this young lady? I got a question. Tell me about that dog. Tell me about Jethro.
So Jethro was with us, a month or 6 weeks? And he came from a rural shelter in North Carolina. I think I got about 30 dogs that day, and I just posted a picture of my van that said, lots of fun freedom riders today. And Harvey saw that on my social media and said, I need that dog.
It's true.
So after a few weeks, I brought Jethro up, but he had to get his neuter and all of his vet care before he was ready to come. And it was also really cold up here. So I said, give me a few weeks while y'all thaw out and Jethro gets neutered.
Well, the other thing is you have a clinic. You have everything at your place. You have a clinic.
We do. We have a spay neuter clinic on site. So makes the transport a lot easier when everything's right there.
That's pretty crazy. You have so much stuff going on.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of people out there who say, don't buy a dog. There are a lot of dogs in shelters that need adopting, for sure. So I try to say, there are some good breeders out there. I'm not completely anti getting a purebred, but if you get a purebred, it's definitely best to do your research and go to the place where the breeder is. Make sure you feel good about the dog. Some people are set on having, buying their purebred dog as a puppy, which is okay as long as you go there, make sure you feel good about the situation the dog's coming from. They are not coming from good situations if you go buy a dog in a pet store. So you have no idea where that dog was. A lot of times they're coming from a place where they're breeding 5 different breeds of dogs, and they've got lots of other breeds in there. It's a puppy mill situation. So those dogs typically aren't healthy. They're very overbred, and the lives of those mother dogs is awful. I mean, they're in a cage and they never come out. They're never socialized. So, it's not just the puppy that you're getting. You have to think about where it came from and the lives of those other dogs that you're supporting by buying a puppy mill dog. So puppy mills are a real problem. So, always we advocate for adoption. That's by far the best way to go, in my opinion. But for those people who are set on getting a purebred puppy, and we get a lot of purebreds. You'd be surprised the amount that we get in shelters, but a lot of times it's not a puppy, and some people want a purebred puppy. And it's important to keep some of our breeds, preserve some of our breeds. So there are some people who do a good job, but there's so many great dogs in shelters that just need a home. They have a deep appreciation, I think, for getting a home. Jethro knows what it's like to survive on what he can find to eat, and not have a secure place to live. And so I think that you'll find he's just got an appreciation that a lot of other dogs don't have that have always lived in a home from being puppy on. But did that answer your question?
Yeah, you're saying his attitude is gratitude.
Attitude is gratitude. That is very true.
Right.
The dogs that come to Saving Grace, we get a lot of, I always say we got some pretty hardy dogs in here. So they're just grateful for a safe place to have their own bed and not have to look for food, and they're happy to go wherever. If we're going hiking or we're going out, they think, oh, this is great. They've never had any sort of schedule or consistency, and so they just think life is great. And so I do like that in a shelter dog.
It's a family farm, so I mean, did everybody in your family work with you? Everybody out there shoveling dog poop and opening dog food bags and watering dogs all the time?
The volunteers are.
But your family just lets you have hundreds of dogs on the farm?
Well, so I moved in that's as my house in 1998, I think. So I kind of built it into Saving Grace. It turned into Saving Grace. So everyone else that comes is a volunteer. It wasn't really a family operation. They support it and support the mission, but it's volunteers that really run it every day.
Do you have close neighbors?
We do have close neighbors.
Do they care about the dogs?
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes they don't. Well, it's the dogs. They live next to a dog place.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, well. Okay, we had Molly G in the house. Thanks for coming. We were Saving Grace. We're saving dogs, and we have a new dog over here who's chilling out with us, and we're happy. And another successful match from a dog and a human. Best friends.
Yeah, thanks for having me and supporting shelter dogs.
Thank you very much. Y'all come back now, yeah?
We will.
I'm gonna